Jack, buddy.
No.
There's always one that needs to mess up production. G'day, folks. Bianca's here trying to wrangle Jack. I'm mic'd up, Bianca's not. Just a little bit of a catch-up video on what we're doing around the place. Thought I'd bring along and show you a couple of small jobs we're knocking off. I'm not feeling that crash hot. I'm in and cook for a couple of weeks, so yeah, just bear with me. Bit of a fuzzy head, that's why I haven't tackled some of these jobs. But I came out this morning and noticed we have a bit of an issue with our water tank. This is the only water tank that we have potable water from, drinking water from. So yeah, I always check this area, make sure it's not leaking, and this morning it was. So I've realised that this fitting here has worked its way loose somehow. So I've got to get in there and fix that up. Might have something to do with the temperature dropping and raising. I have no idea, so I've turned it off and going to fix this up. Bianca's here pulling weeds behind me, but she's not mic'd up, just to let you know. So yeah, this is our only drinking water at the moment. We do have plans to get some more on the property, some more tanks, but that's something that's going to happen down the track. We've got to save up a few dollars for that. So this is really loose, and I do not know why it is so loose. So I might just do that up there. Doesn't appear to be any water leaking from it now. I'll tighten this up. I did post a picture the other day showing a rough idea Bianca and I have been working on for a while now. As we have been here for almost 2 years, or owned the property for almost 2 years. A year and a half-ish, Bianca's saying in the background. Yeah, it is time for us to be a little bit more serious about what we're doing. It's just been a financial issue up until this point, while we haven't done a lot of the stuff we said we were going to do. I'll just bring you down here. And I think it was as easy as that. I do not know why that was so loose though. That does not make sense, but anyway, it's been fixed now.
It might be going from hot to cold.
Yeah. Hello, Bianca. Hello. Hello, Jack. Hey. Now, I'm just going to collect my stuff here, while Jack collects his stick, and we will go down to the next job I've got to knock off. You want to take your stick, bud? Go on, you grab it. On your bike. So the next job is swapping over this pump for a new one. This pump here is fed by those two 5,000 litre-ish tanks there. What are you doing? Teasing the dog. Hiding sticks. Yeah, so these are basically animal and plant, as you can see, overgrown garden. Yeah, animals and plants. So this pump here worked fine when we got it. The auto shut off wasn't working, and yeah, just kept it running continually. So we were turning the water off at the tanks, so we didn't pump out if there was any leaks down the line. And recently we had a leak drain one of the tanks that was on. So there's loads of taps around the periphery of different paddocks and areas, and there's no master shut off to any of them. The water basically comes in here, up through the controller, and then out to two attachments here, and then out this master line here, which looks to be about, I don't know, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, or 32, 40 mil, and then that runs out to the first point of call there, some taps there, and then just branches off everywhere. So there's no masters before the pump here or after the pump. So yeah, we lost a fair bit of water, 5,000 litres at one point in time. So I've just been turning the valves off at the tank at the moment. But this pump needs to go. It just does not work, and I'll show you the power cord. That's the power cord. It's basically been, it almost looks like it's been chewed through. Or it may have just worn through on this sharp tin that they have it fed through the wall on. So actually should make sure that's all turned off. Yes, that's all turned off. Just pull the plug all the way through. There we go. So this needs to go. This whole thing needs to be replaced. Eventually this whole system will be moved though. We'll run through that in the water plan we have on for the farm. My head's not clear enough to go through it today, so yeah, I thought we'd just do a bit of a rough look at getting some jobs done today, basically. So the fittings on the outlet side of the pump are fairly corroded, so we used some penetrating oil and let it sit for a while, and while that was going on, we undid the inlet side of the pump. The oil didn't work too well, so we ended up just using a saw just to cut through that top elbow. I got plenty laying around, so it's no loss really. It's good to see this line here is still holding water as well. So that means the break between here and the tanks, there should be no break. Now this setup here is going to be very temporary. What we've got here is a cheap little purchase we made, online purchase. It is a pump controller on a 750 watt, I think it's round about 3,300 litres an hour pump. It was just an Amazon jobby just to get us through, just watching the pennies at the moment. So what we're going to do is when we rejig all the water tanks and infrastructure around the place, this will be a little backup pump and we'll get a proper one with a proper controller. At the moment, you know, that's not exactly safe to leave outdoors. Normally there's waterproof connections between these. Could get a Sparky to do that, or I could pull something off the shelf of our shop and use that instead. So just a little external waterproof container. And then run the power lead, not through a sharp metal wall, but on an extension cord around the front of the shed to the power supply. So that's just something we'll just have to come out and do manually whenever we need to water the chooks or whatever. Believe it or not, there's pavers under this whole area, so we'll just clean that back now and give ourselves a nice clean area to set this pump up on. The line out to the paddock, it had to be removed from the system as well, and it was easy. It's just a compression fitting. You undo that, screw the BSB fittings back into it. I popped a cap on there as well, just to make sure no beasties would make it home. And yeah, we'll deal with the lines out to the paddock at a later date, I think, once we know where everything's going. We're going to replace this riser with one on the other side of the shed that's not needed anymore. This riser here will end up staying permanently once the pump moves to another location down the line. So the bracket it's going into isn't exactly very secure. The bolts have stripped out through the wall of the shed, so I'll look after that a little bit later. So I had a few issues trying to screw the controller on. It wouldn't seat all the way down and spin around to the location I wanted it. So I had to grab a couple of fittings to rise it up a bit. I grabbed a double male and a double female fittings because that's what I had on hand, and use that just to elevate the top of the controller up a bit so we could get the face of the display pointing away from the shed. So I won't put you all through the next bit, we'll just fly through it quickly because spoilers, it didn't work out too well. On the top of the pump, I just screwed on a female to male 90-degree elbow just to direct the water line out to the riser. And I was hoping, I knew it was a little bit silly, but I was hoping the old aquaponic pipe would be able to hold the pressure, but unfortunately it didn't do too well. You'll see that in a tick. On the inward side, I've just run a nut and tail assembly with the 1" or 25mm line that we use in the aquaponics. It's held up fine, there's no real pressure on it, it's just water coming from the tanks, so it's done the job. But once we turn to the pump on, give it a bit of a dry run or a wet run, yeah, you could just tell by what was happening with the hose up top, and yeah, just the leaks, it wasn't going to do the trick. So the shops are shut at the moment, and in town they shut 1 o'clock, so we're going to have to come back in a couple of days. I'll buy some ag line and some compression fittings and we'll finish it all off then. Well, it's a few days later. I have a 25mm 1" rural line designed basically for irrigation. It's a poly pipe. I also have some compression fittings down there, and a lovely wife is going to keep track of me. And we're going to finish this jobby off. Feeling much better today as well, I should point out. But I'll just let you know, I've put some screws just to secure it to a little bit of a sleeper here, just to make it a little bit more sturdy. It's not set in concrete, as I mentioned. This is going to all change down the track. This is already undone, so just take this off here. The other thing I have done, you might be able to make out, is I have connected a piece of timber to the inside of the shed. So that is now the bracket for this riser. That will stay there because there will be water coming back to this spot after this pump moves eventually, or we get the new pump. But for now, we're just going to run it via extension cord. You'll see that at the end. So these fittings here, they just screw straight onto here. I will put some tape on there, Teflon tape, to make them watertight. So we're going to have one on either end. And once they're on there, what I need to do is measure the distance between this part of this one here to the same section in the other joiner. These are a little barb fitting that goes inside the pipe, and then this here pushes into there. It actually seats right down in there. It gets pulled in with this here, and this is a little collar that goes around the pipe, and it actually forces it onto these little barb fittings, so it's all nice and watertight. So I just wrapped a little bit of plumber's tape around those guys there and screwing these on. That's nice and tight, should be more than enough. We'll find out once the pump starts. And I might be able to tell there's two different heights here as well, so I do need to raise this up, but we'll do that in a tick. That's nice and tight. So just taking out these two bottom screws here because this little lip on the fitting is keeping that in place. Put them to one side and I should be able to shimmy this up to the height it needs to be, and also turn it around a smidge as well so it's sort of facing the pump. Now I just need to measure this section here. We're looking at roughly, I will call that 280 millimeters, or just on 11 inches. It's a little bit rough there, so I might just cut a little bit off of there first. And we'll do 11 inches from there. Sorry, what did I say? 280 millimeters. So we're looking at roughly there. There we go. So now with these fittings here, these just go in here. They're a little bit firm to get in. You could use hot water and all that, or you could just get a rubber mallet, which is very well worn. Just give them a bit of a tap in. And the same on the other side. After we put the collets on and the nuts. Otherwise, we're going to look a bit silly and have to do this again. And I really don't feel up to that. Give it another whack. There we go. I'll just do these up. I think we're almost ready to turn it on, Bianca. It's nice and tight. This on this side. I really should have started off with this to begin with, but we just wanted to set this up. Unfortunately, all the shops were shut, so let's give it one last tighten. So I'll just put these screws in a new position now. So the other thing we did was we went and bought a short power lead, just because the other one's like a 25 metre long one, I think. So this will just service the pump out here. We'll plug it in and turn it on and off as required. So I might have another waterproof box inside, I think. So if that's the case, we might just hook that up on here. But I'll just go turn the tap on. No power is on as of yet. Just make sure the lines are bled. There we go, just needed to bleed the lines. Should get some water coming through via gravity. And I don't see any leaks, which is a good thing.
Under pressure?
Under pressure, if Bianca would like to do the honours.
Ready?
Yep. Yes, we have leaks. So I just turn her off. Yeah, so just a leak there. It's just a tape leak. It's, yeah. So that's just basically because I use some inferior Teflon tape that came with a filter. So I'll go get the proper stuff. Now you can turn the tape on. And just make sure they're nice and tight. And we shall see how we go. Just turn this valve off first because I want to see how it handles it under pressure. Tank is on. Pump is on. And it's coming up to pressure. I see no leaks, Bianca. Woohoo!
Did you have to bleed it again?
No, because the water via gravity is enough to bleed it through the lines. Jack, want a drink, buddy? Nah, Jack doesn't want to drink. And that controller just, little sip. That controller just turns it off as soon as it hits back, it gets back up to pressure. So that's how these little jobbies work. This box shouldn't leak at all, but yeah, I think it is a good idea to keep your pumps covered. We will have a proper housing when it gets to the new position. So what I thought I might do is just use this old bucket we use for recycling the kitchen bits and pieces. So I'm just going to make a slit in this just so it can go down there. We shall cut it this way away from myself so I don't become a statistic. There we go. So there we go, we got it sitting nicely there. That should stop any rain from causing any issues, any water's going to flow down that way. The only thing we are going to be careful of, Bianca, is finding green snakes and carpet pythons wrapped up in there. So that's just going to be one thing we have to check. And when we run the pump, of course, we'll be taking this off. But, you know, there'll be no need for that once we get everything set up in its correct position, because we will, have a proper pump house for it. We can now water the chickens with a hose rather than buckets of water. So we've just had a wedge-tail eagle circle behind us in the sky. And I don't know if you can hear the guinea fowl in the microphone, but yeah, they're rather intrigued.
Yes.
Or alerted, I should say.
A little bit annoyed. Oh,
We're going to be joined by a whole flock of them, I think.
oh,
Oh, there they go. They're not used to us sitting in the middle of the yard.
Jack, come here.
Come on, Jack. Hey, come.
Come on. He's just...
Jack's just enjoyed that little bit of excitement. Yeah, so the water tank is fixed. It's still not leaking. And that little pump, that's been out of service now for how many? Probably about 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
So it's good not to have to lug jugs of water around everywhere to feed animals and plants.
Yes.
And if you are interested in that pump, there is a link down in the description below. It's a cheap budget one. It had pretty good reviews on it. So yeah, it'll just get us through. And we have a lot of water design that we've been working through as well.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of a graphic coming up here now. We've pretty much all just worked out where we want lines of water. Because water is basically life on a farm. Next is the nutrients in the soil for the food. Oh, actually, you need sunlight for all that as well. So water is what's been holding us back, just organising where the water's going to go.
Yep.
A very lovely viewer has donated some money, thank you very much, on one of our live streams, one coming up in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, for a pump down the dam. And we're going to be hooking the dams and the bores together. But yeah, we'll cover that in a video by itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on that.
Yeah, so we've also worked out a few yards because we need to work out where yards we're going to go for water lines and things like that. We should pretty much will let these folks go. What do you reckon?
Yes, we're going to go into the back paddock and find out what that eagle was eating.
Yeah, do hope you folks are all well and happy and enjoying the content, and we will catch you next video. Cheers, folks.
Bye. Say bye, Jack.
Bye, Jack. Bye.